Good morning, everybody. Hope you are well and welcome to another webinar provided by BigChange. This is part 2 of becoming a super user with BigChange, giving you 13 time-saving features to turbocharge your business. If you haven't met me or been on one of these webinars before, my name is Jonathan. I am the product marketing manager at BigChange. I've been here for over 7 years. I've done a variety of roles, starting off in road crew, onboarding, working in product management, and recently this year I moved into product marketing. Absolutely love this role. It means I get to share with you all of the amazing features that we do at BigChange and how they revolutionize your workflows. If you're not a member of the BigChange family, you might be asking yourselves, who are we? We provide job management software that makes you and your business unstoppable. For one monthly fee, we make you unstoppable by providing you all of the features that you can see on screen and many, many more. Our system grows each month, and that is no extra cost to you. For one monthly fee, you get all of the features that you can see on screen and many, many more. You don't just have to take our word for it. You can see some well-recognized names on screen. We have over 2,000 companies using BigChange, not just in the UK, but across Europe, the Americas, and Asia Pacific. And like I said, you might recognize some of those logos on screen. As you saw at the beginning, this is part 2. If you haven't seen the first part, you can scan the QR code on screen, and that will take you to our YouTube channel where the recording is available. We went through 13 items and one bonus item, which was probably one of the most time-saving features that we have to offer. So it is well worth having a look at that video. There are chapter markers, so you can jump to the sections that interest you the most. And like I said, the QR code is on screen. So this is part 2. The agenda is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to show you 13 features which will turbocharge your business and make using BigChange even more efficient than you probably are doing now. If you didn't see part 1, have a look at it. We have loads to cover, so we're going to jump in a second. The slides towards the end will contain some QR codes, so you might want to keep your phone handy so you can take some pictures of the slides or scan the QR code. This webinar is being recorded, as all of our webinars are, and it will be made available on our YouTube channel as soon as possible. If you aren't subscribed, head over to youtube.com/BigChange, hit the subscribe button, and you will get a notification when this recording is out. If you have any questions, please pop them into the Q&A section above. I am on my own today, so I will save the questions until the end. So do hang on to the end to get your questions answered. If I don't manage to answer them all because of time reasons, we will reach out to you individually through your customer success representative. The format of the presentation is we're going to talk about some common challenges that people might be facing, and then we're going to introduce the time-saving feature that we have for you to use. So hopefully these will sound familiar. One of the common challenges that you might have when using a system is downloading the specific data that you want. And that might be because you want to import it into a third-party system, or you want to send it on to customers easily. And so all of the data that you download might need to be manipulated. And you want to be able to do that without constantly going over the same steps time and time again. Because if you do, it may well not only be time-consuming, but it will also be prone to making errors. So we have a feature called Blueprints. Blueprints is one of the best features that we have, and it's utilized by hundreds of customers every single day. So here we have a screenshot of the BigChange system, and I'm going to be showing you the blueprints for jobs. But you can export data from all areas of our system, and the blueprints work in the same method. But we're going to go through jobs. We have the ability of exporting data. And when you export data, you can input an email address of where you want the data to be sent. You can select a blueprint, and you can select the file format. Now, the file format, you have two options. You have CSV, and you also have Excel. CSV is a legacy format. It's still incredibly useful, but the Excel format, XLSX, is probably best if you want to manipulate the data in Excel. If you don't choose a blueprint, you will get what is called our standard export, in which includes almost everything, and it's a lot of data. Now, if you want all of that data, then by all means use the standard. But if you're wanting to import this into a third-party system, or you're wanting to send this to a customer, they're probably not going to want to receive, and you're probably not wanting to give all of that information. You'll probably want to give a subset of information. So we're going to create a blueprint to help us solve that. And that's going to allow us to have only the information that we want. So you have to be logged in as an administrator. So if you click on My Account, Administration, under the Forms section, which you can see, and under Imports and Exports, we have the blueprints. And creating a blueprint is really, really simple. You can have as many blueprints as you want. We're going to create a blueprint, and we're going to give it a title. And then we're going to select what type of group or entities we're going to be using. And as I mentioned before, we have lots of different options available. We have stock, we have equipment, we have contacts, we have contact persons, but I'm going to be doing jobs in this particular instance. But the process that we follow is exactly the same. Once we've selected an entity type that we're going to be using, we have a type, and you can choose between import, export, or import and export. Now, we're going to have a look at the import later, but I'm going to show us the export. And I like to keep them separately, but you can use the import and export if you want. So we've selected export, and we now have to choose the data that we want in the columns that we have available. So in column A, we're going to make our selection, and we're going to repeat that process for the 5 columns that we want to use. Now, in this case, we're just going to be bringing out what I consider to be basic job details. However, you can create blueprints for different uses or different clients. And again, you can have as many blueprints as you want. Once we've got that blueprint saved, if we select the blueprint over here as part of our export, when we click export, we now only receive the data which we requested. So we can see the different columns here, and there's no other data included. So you can repeat that process as many times as you like, not just by creating the blueprints, but by running the export as well. Now, I mentioned we also have import blueprints as well. We're going to have a look at a slightly different set of data. This is a data export from a third-party system. So we might have got this from a different CRM platform. We might have got this from a different from a customer. But you will notice that the columns that are provided have various different headers. And so when we come to import them, we have to match up the column headers each time. That is not only time consuming, but it's also prone to error. So what we have is the ability to create an import blueprint. Exactly the same process before under administration, import export blueprints, but this time we select the import option. And as before, we select the columns that match to the data that we are providing. So the first column is the contact name. It might be called something completely different, site, on the data that we've got, but column A matches to the column to the contact name, and we repeat that for each of the columns that we have available. And so now when we come to import data, we select from the drop down the import blueprint, and now all of the options are selected for us automatically. They're correctly headed, and so that the import will run without any issues. So really, really powerful time-saving tip. Highly recommend you have a go with blueprints. Export blueprints, pretty much anyone can use, making sure they have the relevant data that they need. Import blueprints, depending if you have third-party systems, might be relevant for you, but really, really powerful. The next feature that we have is what to do if a job gets completed against the wrong contact. A note might be created against the wrong contact, or we might have a duplicate contact created. And this happens because we're human, people make mistakes, and at BigChange, we can fix those for you, but that requires you getting in touch with us and it being escalated. So you can actually solve these particular challenges yourself using the entity data fix. So here we have a common problem, a common situation where we have more than one customer at the same site. Now, they have similar sounding names and perhaps they are the same people, but they might want you to invoice different entities for different purposes. So we've got two very similar sounding names. We have a job which has been completed against the wrong one. The engineer wouldn't necessarily have known that. They attended the same building, but it's being created and completed against the wrong one. So we need to be able to change that. However, once a job's been started, you can't actually change the contact. It's grayed out. The little plus icon has now been changed to an I. So in the front end of the system, you can't actually change that. But if you're an administrator, you can fix this no problem. So we navigate to My Account, Administration, and under the Account sections, we have something called Entity Data Fix. Now, really, really powerful tool, and I'm going to talk you through each of these items. So we can select various different things that we want to fix. We can include notes, financial documents. The process is very similar, but I'm going to show you how to fix that job. So we select job, and in the reference box, we enter the reference that we want to fix of the job. We have the ability to change the contact, and we enter in the contact that we want to use. This is the contact which we want to update the job to. These are all ticked by default, and in reality, I would just leave them ticked. There's no reason why you would want to untick any of these for the vast majority of use cases. We have to confirm our action, and once we've confirmed our action, we get a positive result stating that it has been updated. Now, when we return to the job screen, we can see that the contact has been updated with the correct contact, and we can download any updated documents that we might need. There's no need to call road crew. There's no need to send us an email. Those are things that you can do in your own time right away without needing any support. The next thing that we're going to have a look at is merging contacts. And people generally don't need to use this feature, but there are times when duplicate contacts get created, either through error or a different part of the process falls down. But we want to merge everything against those contacts together. So we want to move the jobs, we want to move the notes, we want to move absolutely everything. So again, we go to our entity data fix, and this time we select contact merge at the top. We have to search using the search box, either for a reference or for a contact name, just so we can filter down the results of which we actually want. I can select the things that we want to move from, so the contact of which we want to move things from, and then the contact which we want to move things to. Again, these are very similar sounding names, but we want to move all of the things from this particular contact to this contact. We could, if we wanted to, unselect if different items, but if we're merging the contacts, we probably want to keep everything selected. Before we merge them, we need to make sure we select the right contact. So we get displayed this little message, and we then highlight the contact that we need to see. That's highlighted in green. We simply click on the little eye icon, which is next to it, and that loads the contact. We can view any details against this contact, just as if we could in CRM, but we have now seen this and we've confirmed it. We need to repeat this process with the to section, and once we have, both of them are available or highlighted in green, and we can confirm the merge. So again, we can click on save or done, and that will merge the contacts. So the contacts have been merged. No need to give us a call. That is solved within a matter of moments. The next thing that we have is something which I see quite a bit, and when I show people this feature, like, wow, why didn't we know of that before, or why didn't we use it? And it saves a huge amount of time pretty much every day. And the challenge that you have is that when you log into BigChange on a morning, you are taken to the dashboard. That's absolutely great if the dashboard is where you want to work. But the vast majority of people work either within the schedule or work within CRM. And so it would save a few seconds, granted, each day if they were just to land on that page. Well, we can change that. And that is to change the landing page of the particular area of the system. So as you can see, I've logged in here and I'm taken straight to the dashboard. Not ideal if I'm a scheduler. So I'd like to have it land on the schedule for me when I log into BigChange. Anyone can make these changes. This time we go to My Account and we highlight My Settings. So My Account, My Settings. We have loads of different settings on this page, and I really would recommend you have a look at some of these because there may well be little nuggets of gold for you to make some changes on that would save you some time. But we are going to scroll down to the website landing page. And as you'll see, by default, it is selected as dashboard. And we can change it to any of the options that are seen on screen. So we could have alerts, we could have contacts, map, messages, reports, and schedule. I'm going to change that to schedule. And so it won't take any geniuses among us to work out that now, when I log in, I am taken direct to the schedule tab. So I don't need to move around. And yes, it might only save 1 or 2 seconds. But if you repeat that every single working day, it will add up. The next challenge that we want to overcome is something similar to the dashboard landing tab, but this is for people who use the CRM function and who open up contacts an awful lot. And this is because when you open up a contact, you are taken to a particular tab, and that might be different based on the role that you want to see. So here, when I open up a contact, it could be any contact. The default landing tab is this general tab over here. And it'd be nice if I could change that. Perhaps I work in customer service, and so when I open up a contact, I want to be taken to the notes section. Or perhaps I work in the scheduling team, and so when I open up the contact, I want to be taken to the job section. Well, those who are eagle-eyed among us will have seen this setting in the previous screen. So if we go to My Account, My Settings again, this time we are going to go to Contact Pop-up Landing tab, and we are going to make the change that we need. So I'm going to change that from General to Jobs. And now when I open up a contact, I am taken straight away to the Jobs tab. Really, really useful. Again, this one we probably save more time on because you're going to be opening up more contacts than logging into the system, but really, really easy change to make, and it will only affect your particular user. It will not affect everybody across the company. So anyone who works with BigChange can make their own selection. The next challenge is use of templates. Now, we did cover templates, I believe, in part 1, but this one is a very specific challenge that people have when it comes to email templates. They want to add a company footer to the email templates, and they want it to work for all team members, and they want to be able to maintain it easily. Perhaps make changes to it regularly to showcase a recent addition to the team, a blog post, charities that they're supporting, or other vital information. And so if you apply this to all of your email templates using what we would consider the standard way, it becomes very challenging to maintain because you have to update that text on every single email template. So we're going to be looking at a feature called Simple Insert for the sub-templates. Let's have a very quick look at where our templates are saved. So they're saved in My Account, Administration, and under Templates. And for those that aren't aware, templates are a great way of creating documents or email using bespoke information easily on demand. So we have quite a few templates that are set up. Now, on screen, I'm showing you an email template, which is for a job confirmation. We could have different job confirmation emails per job type. That would be useful if we want to send information relative to that job type. So for argument's sake, if we were going to be shutting off electricity for a rewire, we might want to advise the client that they're going to be without electricity for a period of time. If we're simply going to be installing a new, let's continue with the electricity analysis, some new light switches, we might just ask for them to vacate the room whilst the install is taking place. So we can include different and relevant information per job type. But we want the same footer information to appear. But what we don't want is if we make a change to this footer to have to revisit every single email template that we create, because we could have hundreds of email templates, and so the method of updating them all would be incredibly time consuming. So instead, what I've done is I've created a single template. This is a standalone template and it's called email footer. And what I have done is I've created or I've inserted a standard text for that particular footer. So we've got the name, we've got the email address, and we've got their mobile phone number, as well as some standard boilerplate text that you might want to include. But this could include absolutely anything you want. It could include links, images, and we can update it whenever we need to. If we go back to our email template that we had before, this is our job confirmation one, what we now need to do is we need to get our template that we created with the email footer and insert that into the confirmation one. And we do that by adding a new keyword. The keyword that we have is under miscellaneous, and then under the miscellaneous subtab, we have a sub template option. When we select that, we have a new dialog box that prompts in front of us, and we select the template that we created, which is the email footer. And the option that we want is a simple insert. We don't want it to repeat. What we want is for us to insert the contents of the template that we created for the footer into this email template. Once we've done that, and now when we use that email template, we can see at the beginning here, that was the job confirmation email. And underneath it, we have our email footer template. So now, if we want to make any changes to the footer, we only need to do it once, and that will replicate through to any of the templates that use it. Huge time-saving capability, and really recommended to use, as you can get some really good returns from customers seeing the email footer. The next challenge that we have on our system is how do we repeat various different tasks? And we can do that using automation. We will probably do another webinar on automation either towards the end of this year or at the beginning of 2024, because it's a huge topic and there are huge amounts of savings to be had. There are 3 different types of automation. It can be exceptionally powerful and it has the potential to be really complex. But we're going to try and pare it back in this time-saving tips to just doing some really basic tasks. You do have to be an administrator. So under my account, administration, we have the automation subtab. And we're going to look at just the first option, which is sending data to a third party. The other option here we're not going to cover, and there are only very specific use cases when we would want to need that. So let's just focus on the first one, which is to send data to a third party. We have 3 subtypes. We will cover each of these in turn. We have the post via HTTP, we have sending data back into JobWatch, and we have the SMS. The first one that we will look at is HTTP. Is probably the most technical of the 3. So if you're not too sure what this is, don't worry about it. The other 2 will resonate with you more. So all JobWatch automations need a trigger, and this is very similar to setting up an alert. You have 2 options, either using a JobWatch event, as I mentioned, similar to alerts, or you have the ability of daisy chaining or nesting automations. And then you would use the second option, which is when another automation completes. But I'm going to use when we have a JobWatch event. And this is the more complex of the 3. So the scenario is that we are going to send some data into a third-party system called Zapier when jobs have a status change. So we will say any job have a status change of any status. We then have the ability of filtering down all of those results. So if we ignore the filter for the time being, we would have any job, any status, but we want to filter that down. So we can then add a resource is equal to, and then the resource name. So it's not any job, any status, it's now any job by that resource with any status. We can add various different filters. So this Zapier endpoint could be for our customer, Sainsbury's, and it could be their endpoint. So we're now only sending data that has been completed by Martin for that particular contact. When we move forward through the prompts, we have to enter in the details needed for the endpoint, such as the URL, the authentication, and we can then press save. Most automations, once you've created them, you'll need to activate them with BigChange. So if you click on the automation, you will have various different options. You can have the option to duplicate, delete, edit, pause, view logs, which we'll have a look at in a second, and activate. When you click on activate, the request will be sent to BigChange, and you will be notified when it is made live. So that was the more technical of the three, like I said. The next one that we're going to look at is job watch automations, and this is really, really cool. We can be doing so many different time-saving tasks in here just by setting up automations. So we're going to take one particular scenario, and let's say we want to add a flag to a job once it's complete by a resource to signify that it needs to be checked by a team or person. So as before, we're going to select any job, and this time we're going to choose the status is changed to complete, because the scenario is add a flag to a job once it has been completed. When we click on next, we then have to provide various different options, and we'll go through these in turn. The first couple you can pretty much ignore. You wouldn't want to necessarily change any of these for this particular example. But this one that we've got down here, the function to call, this is where we're setting up the automation that we want. We want to add a flag to a job, and we've got some various different settings down here. These are the things that we need to take from and the things that we need to put them into. So the data from trigger is where we're getting the data from the job, and the data to is what we're going to create or update, is where the information is going to. So to create a flag, we need 2 bits of information. We need to know the type of flag that we're going to create, and then we need to know the job of which it's going to. So very, very simply, the job ID, the job that we're creating, is going to have the flag against it. And then we need to identify the flag which we're going to add to it. Now, it asks for a flag ID. Don't get too concerned about that. If we go to administration, there are 2 ways in which you can get the ID. Firstly, I believe it works on some export blueprints, but we haven't got the option of exporting flags here. So if you're on a Windows machine, if you press Shift, Control, Alt, and click on the flag, you will get the ID. And if you're on a Mac and press Command, Option, Shift, and click on the flag, you will also get the ID. Don't worry if you don't manage to retain all of that. If you reach out to Road Crew, you reach out to customer service, customer success, they will do their best to talk you through on this. So we have our option. We have various different options for automations, and if we scroll down, we can see various different options. So we could have a note created when a job is automatically completed, or we could create a job when a note is closed. We can do quite a bit of process in here. Once it's activated, again, we can have various different options. We can see the logs, which will show each time it has been triggered. And if we go into further detail, we can even see where it was created, or what triggered it, and what created as a result. And the final option that we're going to look at is SMS automation. So you can send SMS through JobWatch automations or alerts, but the automation allows greater control and flexibility because we have additional keywords that can use. So the scenario that we're going to talk through here is to perhaps send a text to a manager when a resource stays within a contact's location for more than 60 minutes during the working week. Because we want to make sure that our engineers are okay, and jobs don't generally last longer than 60 minutes. So if they stay put at this at a contact for this amount of time, it's possible that something's gone wrong, and we might just want to check on their welfare. So we would set this up based on the options that we have on screen. As we move forward, we can enter in the mobile phone number and the name of the recipient that we have. Again, we can use keywords for that, so we could pull off job information if we wanted to. And then we have the message. The message pulls through keywords such as the name of the resource and also the job of which they were at, or the contact. And that's it. Now, once we press save, the message will be saved and the automation will start to run. And you will get those text messages as needed. So yes, you can set up alerts using that functionality, but with automation, you have a lot greater flexibility when it comes to keywords. The next bit of functionality that we're going to be talking about is following a process where a job is always needed after a failed visit. And that could be because they weren't able to attend on site, perhaps the customer wasn't there, or a revisit is required for another reason. And it can be that people create these jobs manually. But the challenge with that is if they're created manually, they can sometimes be missed. And indeed, the time taken for a revisit to be created could be getting longer and longer, or it might just be quicker to have the system create that automatically. So what we're going to be looking at number 7 is what we call follow-on jobs. And this is another type of automation. This has been around a lot longer than the first, and we configure that against the job types. So the scenario that we're going to be talking through now is we want to create a job automatically for a revisit when an engineer or a resource says additional work is required. So we have on the screen here, we have various different job types. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a piece of automation very, very simply that says when an engineer says further work required or additional work is required on the service, a revisit one is created automatically. So let's open up our boiler service job and we head over to the automation tab, which is the last tab on the right-hand screen. We can add automation at the bottom. So if we click on that, we have lots of options, probably too many options, but we'll go through them as is needed. The first one that we see on screen is the triggering status. And that's what the resource, the engineer, has to select in order to create the new job. So what we're saying is when they select further visit required, we want this automation to trigger. The next option that we have underneath is the type of job that we want to create. And we've said when they say further work is required, we will create a boiler revisit. We have other options around grouping and referencing, and you can choose those based on your individual requirements. Most of the time, people want to group the jobs together so that they're easy to find. And we have options around scheduling. Around allocation, I should say. We have the ability to allocate it right away to the resource who's already on site, or we could say we're going to leave it unallocated for the back office to sort. We're going to leave it unallocated for this particular moment in time, because if a job can't continue, there's no point allocating it straight away to the resource. But in this example, we're going to do that. We have other options that we're just going to jump over for the time being because they're not really relevant, but you can have a look at the descriptions of those. They're pretty self-explanatory and make your selection where needed. But the manual mapping is really exciting. And what we're going to do in this particular case is we might want the resource to see in the job details information as to why the original visit didn't go to plan. So what we can do is we can select the job result information from the original job, and we can populate it into the job description of the job that is created. All of this happens automatically. Very, very quick to set up. And now, once we have the job type automation set up, that will start to run straight away. We don't need to go through an approval process like we did with the other automations that we saw before. We can add multiple automations as well. So if we want to create more than one job, we simply repeat the process. So hit see it in action. We have a job that's just been failed by the engineer. If I click on that, we'll see that it has grouped both of those jobs together, and we have the revisit option already created for us. If I open up that particular job that's being created, we can see down here, we have the resource notes that were pulled from the failed job so that the engineer who we allocate this to can see exactly why the revisit is required. If we wanted to see how this job was created, if we head over to the activity tab, we can see under the comment section the fact that it was created automatically by the job reference shown on screen. Really, really powerful and highly, highly useful for customers of all shapes and sizes. The next feature that we're going to show, number 8, is another time-saving activity, and it's for those that want to make changes to loads of jobs at a single time. we're talking thousands of jobs if they want to make changes to those, either because they want to change the duration, add additional comments to it, or add a flag, change the financial completed status, make plenty of changes to hundreds, if not thousands of jobs. And they might want to make some change to line items as well. Again, we're not just talking one line item, we're talking quite a few line items. And this is the ability to edit items en masse. We talked about the ability to edit financial line items and jobs. We're first going to have a look at the jobs. So we go to our list view, and here we could make the changes to jobs individually, but we're going to use some functionality to speed up our process. So we can make selection of jobs individually if we wanted to, or if we wanted to select all of them, we simply select this little checkbox in the header menu. If we select that little checkbox in the header, we have an option. We can either just select those which are displayed on screen, so the first 10 in this case, or as we can see, it expands on more than one page, we can select all of the jobs across all pages, and that will select up to the first 5,000 jobs. So clearly, making changes to 5,000 jobs using this method is much quicker than doing them individually. I'm going to say all pages. And now, underneath, we have an option that says selected jobs. And we also, down here, have an option selected jobs. Both of them do exactly the same thing. They give us another set of options. We have the option of unallocated, cancel, reassign, schedule, apply recurrence, edit prices, and edit. We're going to have a look at the edit option first. And here we can make up to 8 changes at a time. We can add more than one. So we could actually select all 8. We can change the description, the duration, the job category. We can add a flag. We can change the contact, add customer activity, and we can mark them as actioned, unactioned, or financially complete. And like I said, we can select more than one at any given time. Huge time-saving activity. When we make a selection, there will be a little save button that appears, and that would process the changes. So let's see what happens when we make an edit under pricing. Here, we have the edit prices. We have the option to add to the line items that are already in existence, or we can replace, override those which are already there. So we can add or replace. And then we have the exact same options that we would do when we are creating line items elsewhere in the system. So we have the option to add free text, predefined invoicing items, and stock items as well. The checkboxes, as I mentioned before, they don't just appear next to jobs. They also appear on line items against financial documents, jobs, and sales opportunities. The exact same behavior as before. We can select the lines individually, or we can select all of them by selecting the option in the header. We then have the option of selected items, and when we click on that, we have 3 different options. We have the options of deleting, which will remove them, and we have the options of discount, markup, and quantity. We can apply discount and markup based on a fixed price or a percentage. And when it comes to quantities, we can change the quantity by either adding a new quantity, increase it by a variable amount. So if there was a line item with 3, 5, and 9, and we were to add 1 to them, they would all increase by 1. We could reduce them, and then if there's a reason why you want to multiply or divide by an amount, you can do so there. So the next challenge is that people have is that they want to message our resources really easily. They don't necessarily want to ring people, send an email. They might want to send a quick text, and they want to be able to do that quickly and efficiently. So we want to have a quick look at the messaging functionality, perhaps one of a really underutilized pieces of functionality that we have, and highly recommend that people have a look at this. So let's delve in. The messaging tab is along the top. And when you select it, you have an interface identical to the one that you can see on screen. To create a new message, we have the option of send a message. So we can begin by typing a name. And in this case, I'm going to select John. excuse me, John has various different methods of communicating with, and we can see those based on the icons on screen. We can either give him a pop-up within the BigChange system, we can send a message to his mobile device, we can send him a text message, or we can do all of those if we wanted to really send out a lot of messages to him. If we wanted to send a message to all of our resources, if we just start typing all, we can select all resources, and that will go out to all of the resources that we have. That also works with specific names of resource groups. So in this case here, I'm going to send a message to all of the resources and ask if they want to work overtime over this weekend. We want to make it incredibly easy for our resources, our engineers, to respond to us, and we only want a yes or no. We don't want any more text than that, not only because it'll take time for us to read and understand it, but we want to make it an efficient process for them to respond. So we will give them two options, yes or no. When we want to send that message, we press send and away it goes. On the device, they will literally have the options of pressing yes or no. It's one tap to get the response, and then you will be able to see that reply in the BigChange system. Another thing that we often hear is customers wanting to send ad hoc text messages to people. So the ad hoc text messages is very similar to things before. You can simply enter +44 and then the mobile number. That allows you to send a text message to absolutely anybody. They can't reply to this text message. It's like when you get a message from the bank or something like that, but really, really helpful message functionality, I should say, if you want to send a text message either to an engineer or a customer. The next thing that we want to look at is when it comes to scheduling. We might want to, or we might be going to a site that we've not been to before, and so the engineer doesn't know where to look for the parking. We might want to have a quick look to see if there's going to be any traffic en route. So we have the ability of using Google Traffic and Street View within the BigChange application. So here we have a route, and we can create that using the route planner from the map. And we are going from Darlington International, and we're going up in the world. So we've been asked by the palace to do some repair at Buckingham Palace. And we have our route. We don't know, we've not been there before. It's our first time, so we want to see what the traffic could be like at this time of day. So if we click on the little eye icon, we have the option of selecting traffic. This will pull through the map, the traffic data from Google. We can see that there's some traffic near this particular location, signified by the red line. This isn't traffic for the time a job is going to take place. It's traffic as is right now, just as you would get from Google Maps. The next mentioned that we the next functionality that we talked about is we've not been to Buckingham Palace before, so we don't necessarily know where we want to go. So we're going to add a picture of the location to the job. So just by dragging this little person down here onto the location of where Buckingham Palace is, which I think is around about here, we get this little overview by dragging the little person, and then we are given the location that we need to look for. We could simply take a screenshot of this and attach it to the job. And there we go. I am seeing a few messages come in on the chat and Q&A. I will get to those at the end, so don't fret if you don't get an answer by a fellow attendee. They will be answered by myself at the end. The next issue, or the next problem that people might face is they might not know whether there's an issue with their particular internet connection, or if by some occurrence BigChange is working through a particular challenge. So we have a system status page. Everyone has access to this by clicking on the row crew menu and selecting the system status page. A very, very simple piece of functionality. It will take you to a system status page where you can see various different elements of functionality, from the devices through to the help center and the history as well. For those of you who are slightly more technical and have RSS feeds, Atoms feeds, or have an API set up, you can select the Get Updates option from the top, and then you have your 3 methods of subscription as well. The next challenge that people have is they want to have a central place where they can showcase individual achievements, their best performers. That could either be those who have completed particularly good work for a week, scheduling the most jobs, handling the most tickets, and they want a central place where the best performers can be celebrated. So we have a piece of functionality called Pioneers and Champions. Not well utilized, but it's accessible by all. It's included in your monthly subscription, so why not make use of it? Under the road crew, we have an option for Pioneers and Champions. If you've not got something set up, you'll get a message saying that you should speak to your administrator. So we're going to show you how to set this up. In my account administration, we have the Pioneers and Champions option, which is just down here. We can make a selection and then we can populate text, images, and names. So in Blue Peter fashion, here is one I made earlier for Dave and Hannah, and with the text underneath explaining why they were chosen. We can save it. We can see whether it's live or not. And now when we navigate to that tab, we have their picture and text on screen. So some companies that utilize this, they update this every week and then just send an email around to everybody highlighting the winners of the Pioneers and Champions. Really, really useful piece of functionality. And we should be singing successes of colleagues as well where we can. So number 13 in our list of time-saving features is all around fleet management. And this is about ensuring that the maintenance activities on your fleet are not missed. It could be that you have a particularly large fleet. It might be that fleet management is not your only job. And more often than not, maintenance activities of your fleet is staggered throughout the year. So we have vehicle maintenance alerts. And I'm not too sure whether the text is dropping off the screen here. It certainly wasn't on the other one. So if we head over to Fleet and Resources, we can see that we have all of the details of the vehicles that we have on screen. I'm going to click on a particular vehicle and I'm going to edit it. We have the option of editing all of the different dates, of which I'm going to populate the MOT date and all of the other dates as seen on screen. So we can do that with all of our vehicles. The next thing that we want to do is we want to set up alerts. From here, we can say any vehicle, which might be useful if you are in charge of your fleet. We can say a certain vehicle. So I personally store my MOT data and stuff for my car in BigChange, and I want to be notified in advance to make sure that I don't forget that. Or we could say a group of vehicles as well if you're looking after a particular group. We can choose the maintenance activity that you're interested in, individual different maintenance activities, or you can select any activity. The days before that activity is due, we can enter. So I will put 14 days for 2 weeks, and then we have the location as to where we are going to send the alert to. We can popularize the content of the alert. I'm just going to use the template, and when we hit save, that is the way it goes. So there we have it, 13 time-saving tips. I'm aware I'm running a little over. If you can stay on, we have a Brucey bonus of another tip and more information out. We'll probably run to about 12 o'clock. Alternatively, the rest of this webinar will be available on catch-up, like I said before. So the Brucey bonus is what happens if something has been deleted by mistake and we might want to restore it. Yes, you can reach out to Road Crew and they will be able to assist, but you can also rectify that yourself. What happens if you want to see who changed something? A change has taken place in a job or a contact and you're not quite sure who made that change and you want to be able to identify that. Well, we can with viewing the user events and restoring data. You have to be an administrator for this. So under My Account Administration, click on User Events, and we have a list of events that have taken place based on the filters that we have on screen. What I'm going to have a look at here is this contact that was updated last week. And I can select that contact and I can view the changes or I can view the contact itself. If I click on view, I can see that John updated the street as well. So that is the change that we made. And if we clicked on the little eye, we can see the contact that was changed. The next thing that we're going to do is restore the contact which John deleted by accident. So if we have a look at that and select that particular item, we have the option of restoring. Once we click on that, we have the thing to confirm. And then the contact is restored. So there's no need to call row crew and wait for the action to be taken by us. You can make those changes needed yourself and get back up and running as soon as possible. So 13 time-saving features to turbocharge you and your use of BigChange, as well as a bonus. You may well be wondering, if you're not part of BigChange, how much this is going to cost. The honest answer is it's not going to cost you a thing. All of the features that I've shown you here are included in your BigChange monthly fee. There is a nominal fee for the text messages that are sent, but if you don't send any text messages, you won't be charged anything extra. All of these features are live on screen and you can use them now. If you haven't checked out our BigChange University, scan the QR code on screen. They have some slides, recordings, and other resources as well. This webinar was recorded and it will be made available on our YouTube channel as soon as possible. So if you aren't subscribed, head over to youtube.com/BigChange, hit the subscribe button, and you will get notified when the recording is available. We have on demand various different webinars. We have information on our dashboard functionality. We have part 1 of turbocharging features. If you're interested in things like the alerts for fleet management, you would want to check out how to manage your vehicles like a pro. And if you are an administrator of BigChange, there are various tips and tricks in how to administrate your system like a pro. The BigChange community newsletter contains lots of information, not just about the features, but other events that are taking place. The September edition is out now, and later this week, all being well, the October edition will be available as well. We have various different things which are coming soon to BigChange. We have a huge leap in customer service coming soon. You'll have received a pop-up on BigChange detailing some of this. If you haven't, scan the QR code and you will be able to see the changes that are coming. We are also going to be releasing our biannual NPS survey, so keep an eye out on your email for that. Data as a service, DAS, is also coming soon. So if you want more information on that, scan the QR code. And finally, a really, really awesome feature is coming soon, very, very soon, within a week or two, and that is BigChange Pay. You will be able to take payment not just online, not just over the phone, but also on the job itself. So if you want some coming soon information, scan the QR code for that particular item, and you will be able to see what is coming soon. But we are within weeks of that being released. Really exciting to see that. We are at various events. We are at Soltex at the beginning of November. We're also at the Elect Show. We're also at CPA. Towards the end of November, we are at Future Scrape, Road Expo in Scotland, and the EV show in London. If you would like £250 worth of Amazon vouchers before Christmas, and who wouldn't want that, simply refer a friend to BigChange for a demo, and you will get £250 Amazon voucher when they sit that demo. So let me have a look, see where we're at. I'm just going to quickly launch a poll. If you want to respond to that poll, I would very much welcome your feedback on a scale of 1 to 5. How would you rate this webinar? If you would like to give more details, scan the QR code and you will be able to provide more details on that. I'm now going to delve into the Q&A and have a look and see if there are any questions that need answering on that. I will do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. Excuse me, starting with the oldest one first. Okay. There's a few questions which are quite specific, so I will speak to customer success and get them to reach out to you individually. Nicola mentioned, how long does entity data fix take to complete merge? Is it done in real time or is there a delay? It's almost real time, Nicola. It might take a moment or two, depending on how much data is moving across and that. But in reality, within a moment or two, it should have completed. If it's taking longer than 5 minutes, I would suggest you give us a call or send us an email, and we'll have a look to see why it's taking so long. Let's have a quick look. Manny asks, can you transfer attachments when doing a follow-on job? Yes, you can. Attachments was one of the options which was available in follow-on jobs. Jennifer asked, how do you add the route planner on your map screen? Mine only shows vehicles. So I'm going to have to try and do this from memory, but if you click on one of the vehicles, or if you click on the search, find a contact, and then click on that contact when it's displayed on the map, you'll have the option of add to route planner. I'm pretty sure that's right. Like I said, I'm trying to do it from muscle memory. I will ask one of our customer success reps to give you a call, Jennifer, and make sure that you have everything you need. Nathaniel has provided some feedback on worksheets. I will pass that on to the product team. As has Anish. So thank you very much for that. There's a lot on the chat. Let's see if I can find out. Can you automate? Okay. It seems like you're answering your questions. Okay, so there's a lot of chat that's going on, and I will probably have to take that away and have a look to see if there's any questions that need answering on that. I would like to thank those that have filled in the survey for doing so. Like I said, this recording will be available on YouTube later today, and we will put a notification out in BigChange once it's available. So on behalf of all of BigChange, I would like to thank you for joining us, and we will have future webinars before the end of the year. So keep an eye out on the Success Centre and newsletter for those details, and we hope to speak to you soon.